I still can't believe this happened, even now, months later. Thinking about it makes my blood boil and my hands clench. My mother-in-law, a woman who smiled sweetly to my face while actively trying to destroy my life behind my back, actually called my own company, my *own* company, to get me fired. From my little job, as she condescendingly called it. Can you believe the audacity? Was I wrong for completely cutting her out of my life, even if it means putting a strain on my marriage? Tell me, honestly, would you have done the same thing if your mother-in-law tried to sabotage your career? Let me take you back to the beginning. My husband, Mark, and I have been together for 10 years, married for 7. We met in college, fell in love, and built a life together from the ground up. He's truly the love of my life, a kind, supportive, and generally wonderful man. The one major caveat to our otherwise perfect life: his mother, Brenda. From the moment I was introduced to her, it was clear I wasn't her ideal daughter-in-law. I wasn't from the right family, didn't have the right job, and certainly didn't have the right aspirations. Brenda is a woman who thrives on appearances, on prestige, and on control. She came from money, married into more money, and believes that everyone else should conform to her very specific world-view. My background, while comfortable, wasn't aristocratic enough for her tastes, and my career, which I poured my heart and soul into, she openly dismissed as a hobby or a little job. You see, I'm an entrepreneur. I started my own company, a tech startup focused on sustainable urban development, straight out of grad school. It wasn't an overnight success, of course. There were years of ramen noodles, late nights, early mornings, and constantly doubting myself. But I persevered. I built a fantastic team, secured multiple rounds of funding, and by the time Mark and I got married, my company was doing incredibly well. We were profitable, expanding, and making a real impact. I was incredibly proud of what I had accomplished. Mark was proud of me too, always my biggest cheerleader, which only seemed to fuel Brenda's resentment. She couldn't understand why I didn't want to pursue a proper career in law or medicine, or better yet, just become a stay-at-home wife who hosted lavish dinner parties. The fact that I was building something substantial, something that required grit and intellect, seemed to offend her delicate sensibilities. She'd often make passive-aggressive comments at family dinners, things like, "Oh, still playing with your little gadgets, dear," or "When are you going to get a real job, one that offers a pension?" Mark would always jump to my defense, which would inevitably lead to a tense silence and a withering glare from Brenda directed at me. I really did, to build a bridge with her. I'd bring her flowers, invite her to lunch, ask about her day, but every attempt was met with a thinly veiled insult or a cold shoulder. Eventually, I just learned to keep my distance, maintaining a polite but firm boundary. Things escalated when Mark and I decided to buy our first home. We found a beautiful house, a bit of a fixer-upper, but in a great neighborhood. We were both so excited. Brenda, however, immediately took it upon herself to inspect our finances and, more specifically, my finances. She started asking intrusive questions about how much I was making, how much the company was truly worth, and if I was pulling my weight in the household contributions. I was transparent with Mark about everything, of course. He knew exactly what I earned, which was significantly more than he did at his steady corporate job. He always saw our finances as a joint effort, and my success meant we could afford a more comfortable life. But Brenda, fueled by her own skewed perspective, couldn't accept that her son's wife was the primary breadwinner. She seemed to view it as a personal failing on Mark's part, and by extension, a reflection of my manipulative nature. She started planting seeds of doubt in Mark's head, suggesting I was too busy with my little project to be a proper wife, or that I was using him. Mark, bless his heart, would always shut her down, but the constant negativity started to wear on him and on us. The situation came to a head when we were planning our summer vacation. Mark and I had always dreamed of a trip to Italy. We'd saved up for years, and now, with my company doing so well, we could finally afford the kind of luxurious trip we'd always envisioned. Brenda, upon hearing about our plans, immediately assumed she was invited. When Mark gently explained it was meant to be just the two of us, she threw a monumental fit. She accused me of isolating her son, of turning him against his own family, and, of course, of being selfish with my money. She actually said, "What do you even do at that little job of yours that makes you think you deserve a fancy trip like that? You're probably just playing on the computer all day." That was the first time I truly snapped. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Brenda, my little job is a thriving company that employs 50 people and is generating significant revenue. It's paying for this trip, and it's paying for our house. Perhaps you should try to be happy for your son and his wife instead of constantly trying to tear us down." The look on her face was priceless, a mixture of shock and pure fury. She stormed out of the house, proclaiming she wouldn't be seeing us again until I came to my senses. Mark was mortified, but I felt a strange sense of relief. Maybe this was it. Maybe she would finally leave us alone. Oh, how wrong I was. This was just the beginning of her escalation. Over the next few weeks, things were blissfully quiet. We enjoyed the peace, planned our trip, and focused on work. Then, one Tuesday morning, I received a call from my head of HR, Sarah. Sarah is a no-nonsense, incredibly professional woman who rarely calls me directly for anything minor. Her tone was serious. She said, "Op, I just had a very strange call. A woman named Brenda, claiming to be your mother-in-law, called our general inquiries line and then somehow got transferred to my office. She proceeded to spend 20 minutes telling me that you are incompetent, that your company is a joke, that you neglect your duties, and that you should be fired immediately for gross misconduct." I was speechless. My mouth literally fell open. Sarah continued, "She even went as far as to suggest you're using company resources for personal gain, and that you frequently take long, unexplained absences." I, of course, reassured her that none of this was true, and that your performance reviews are stellar, but it was incredibly unsettling. I just wanted to give you a heads up and ask if you're aware of any issues with your mother-in-law. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. How would you have reacted to such an audacious, malicious attack from a family member? Would you confront her, ignore her, or take drastic measures? My blood ran cold, then hot with rage. This wasn't just a petty insult anymore. This was a direct assault on my professional reputation, on the company I had built from the ground up. It was an attempt to destroy my livelihood, to take away everything I had worked for. I thanked Sarah for the heads up and immediately called Mark. I was shaking. "Your mother." I choked out, "She called my company. She tried to get me fired." Mark was initially disbelieving. "No, she wouldn't," he said. "She's difficult, but she wouldn't do something like that." I told him every detail, recounting Sarah's exact words. He grew progressively quieter, and I could hear the anger building in his voice. "I'm so sorry, babe," he finally said, his voice tight. "I'll go talk to her right now." I told him, "No, Mark, don't talk to her. This isn't a conversation. This is a boundary. A line has been crossed, and she needs to understand there are serious consequences for this kind of behavior. What happened next was a whirlwind. Mark, true to his word, confronted his mother. I wasn't there, but he recounted the conversation. Brenda initially denied everything, then when presented with the facts, she tried to minimize it, saying she was just concerned about my work-life balance and was trying to help me get fired, help me lose my company. Mark, for the first time, truly saw the extent of his mother's malice. He told her in no uncertain terms that her actions were unacceptable, that she had deeply hurt me and threatened our marriage. He told her that until she genuinely apologized and understood the gravity of what she had done, we would be cutting off all contact. This was a monumental step for Mark, who, despite his mother's flaws, had always been incredibly loyal to her. He came home, looking defeated but resolute. He held me close and apologized for putting me through it, for not seeing the depth of her vindictiveness sooner. I knew then that our marriage was strong enough to weather this storm. Brenda, of course, did not apologize. Instead, she launched a smear campaign against me among her social circles, and even some of Mark's extended family, claiming I was an ungrateful, manipulative wife who was trying to isolate Mark from his family. Some family members bought into it, others saw through her lies, but it created a lot of drama and tension. Mark and I stood firm. We blocked her number, unfriended her on social media, and politely declined any invitations that included her. It was painful, especially for Mark, who grieved the loss of his relationship with his mother, but he knew it was necessary. The peace that settled over our lives without Brenda's constant interference was palpable. My company continued to thrive, unaffected by her pathetic attempt at sabotage. I found renewed focus and energy, knowing I had a partner who would always stand by me. We went on our amazing trip to Italy, and it was everything we had dreamed of, a celebration of our love and our resilience. The only lingering sadness was the broken relationship with Mark's mother, but for me, it was a necessary sacrifice for my own well-being and the health of my marriage. It's been almost a year since that fateful call, and we still haven't spoken to Brenda. There's been no apology, no real acknowledgement of her wrongdoing. Sometimes I wonder if she'll ever truly understand the damage she caused, or if she'll simply continue to live in her own twisted reality. But frankly, I don't care anymore. My focus is on my company, on my amazing husband, and on building a happy, peaceful future. Life is too short to allow such toxic negativity to permeate your existence. What she tried to do was not just an act of petty jealousy. It was an attempt to destroy my career, my financial stability, and ultimately my happiness. And for that, there can be no forgiveness without genuine remorse. I've learned that sometimes the hardest boundaries are the most necessary ones. So that's my story. It's still raw, still a little unbelievable, but it's my truth. Like this video if you were on my side and think I did the right thing. Subscribe for more stories like this, where real people share their wild and unbelievable experiences. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.